Let's decorate a cover of a book to then use as a junk journal, planner, or altered book. Hi, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. Thank you for being here. I need a new book for my next planner, so this will be my fourth altered book planner. So here are the 3 previous ones that I have used since July 2020. So I started out with this Reader's Digest book, didn't do much to the cover, just added some printed images and a doily and a button and some fabric on this one. So that was my first one. Then this was my second one. I just kind of grunged up the color, added some lace to the spine. I still love this so much. Added a printable to the front with some lace. And yeah, so that's what that looked like. Number 3, this is the one I'm currently still working on. I covered with fabric. So if you want to see how I covered this book with fabric, check out the link I have for you below. And today I'm going to be doing a mix of a fabric color with some printables on it. So let's see how we do. And I'm hoping not to make the same mistakes that I made in this one, which was the first time I made a fabric cover on an altered book. I love trying out new techniques and looks. So for this one, I'm going to try something new. So you can do this with any printables or decorative papers, but I wanted to use my own printables, of course. And I wanted to use my newest kit, which I designed for September, called Once Upon a Time, and is fairy forest themed. That's a mouthful. Say that 3 times quickly. So I'll show you the calendar pages in my upcoming video next week where we set up for September. But the backgrounds are available already, and those are what I will be using for my book cover along with some fabric. So let me show you the vibe of the background pages. So we have these. So we have these adorable fairies with some forest animals mixed with some backgrounds, some doilies, some florals. Very soft colors on most of these. Here again, more doily. Here we have another fairy on a teacup. There's some lace here. There's fairy lights all over. There is some text in the background on a lot of these. And we also have some vintage ephemera from Prague, from the Czech Republic, here in the background in some of these. And for me, when I think of Prague, I think of fairy tale immediately. First of all, I have some adorable fairy tale books from Prague. And second of all, if you've ever been to Prague, I mean, you might know what I'm talking about. For me, it really looks like a fairy tale city. It's like Vienna, but on a smaller scale and like a more whimsical scale. That's the feeling I get when I go to Prague. So that's why I wanted to include some Czech writing in the backgrounds on some of these. Here again, here's like an old typed letter from Prague in Czech in the background. We have these beautiful lanterns here. Lots of fairy lights. Again, here's a fairy on a wolf. 2 more fairies here with more Czech writing in the background. Some stitched leaves back here. Then we have 2 flying fairies. I love these. This one and I'll show you the other one are my favorite of the pages. So there's this one is very celestial. Love it. This one's also very cute. Has some more text in the background. I love this fairy kissing the bunny. How sweet is that? We have some mushrooms here for September. We have some washi tape in the background. And this is my other favorite one, and this is actually the one I'm going to be using for the cover. I totally have to think of Maud when I look at this. She's so adorable. And I also love the moon with the lantern. That was 8 pages, and then as always I have 2 more plain pages which can be printed on, for example, the background or on the back side of these. If you were to use these for a junk journal, you can always have one side more plain and the other not so plain. I will be actually using the more plain ones this time for my end papers of my book, but I'm not going to use this one. I'm actually going to be using this one here. Again, we have the stitched leaf, which I really love. We have the fairy lights. Love it. And to go with it, we're going to be adding a book spine. Now, I designed these using the same parts of the printable so that they match what we put on the cover. And I tried to provide you with a variety of, so there's another page, a variety of different heights and different widths for the spine. So hopefully one of the measurements will work for the book that you want to use this on. I will write the measurements of these in the description in my shop so that you know what they will look like when you print them out. So that's the one, and this is the second one. They could also actually be used as belly bands. They would be really cute belly bands, I'm just realizing. And then I also have a sheet with some book labels, which I'm going to use for the front of my book. So I have some blank ones with the same theme. They're all the Once Upon a Time theme. And then some of them already say planner or calendar on them. But of course, you can use the blank ones to write whatever you want to write. Maybe you want to add the date of the calendar or the planner, or maybe you want to write something completely different. Maybe you want to write journal or notes or something completely different. Yeah, so those are the ones I'll be working with. So if you have been thinking about starting an altered book planner, or you are looking for a different way to decorate a junk journal cover, then this could definitely be an option for you. And of course, all of those printables will be linked for you below. So this is the new book I will be using for my next planner. It is a modern book because I want it to be in good shape for what we're going to do with it. It has a jacket on it, which is great because that protects the cover. Obviously, I'm not going to keep the jacket on, but that means that my cover is in very good condition. So those are worth looking for in Goodwill. I got this at my Goodwill again. So this is, again, another one that has glued in pages rather than sewn in pages. So that means I cannot see any twine or any stitching in the middle of the spine here. I can tell it's glued. Now you can also use an old vintage book if you prefer. Of course, I totally get the charm of vintage books. I love them myself. I use them for other types of journals. But if you do that, you just have to be aware that you are going to have to be very methodical about tearing out your pages. So that means, for example, if you have a signature here, you're going to have to find the middle of the signature and take out a few double sheets by tearing those out, like this, for example, right? That's how you would tear out pages that are stitched together. Because if you just randomly, I have to say this again, if you just randomly tear out single pages, you're going to lose the other half of that page, wherever that will be. That's what we don't want for our planner. So that's why I prefer for my planners specifically the glued in pages, because I'm just going to be randomly tearing out pages. I don't want to have to count. I don't want to have to figure out how many I need to tear out for this to work. I just want this to be very easy going and simple. So this method is perfect. So I like to take books that are in good shape. This was €3. And I'm going to be covering this first with some fabric. So the printable I wanted to use for the cover, as I mentioned, is this one. So I want to have this on the front, and I will be cutting this down, and I will be decorating it further. And the back side I will put on the back, and then in between we will add a book spine. That's the plan. So I printed this out on 160 GSM. I figured if I was going to be adding this on top of fabric, I think it's better to have a paper that is a little more sturdy. Otherwise, if I were just to glue it on the book cover itself, I would just use regular copy paper. Now, if you don't want to do the fabric part, if that seems like too much hassle, what you can do is of course, either if you have the book in a color that you like, you just keep it like this, because I was actually considering leaving the cover as is. It has a beautiful white cream, which is beautiful with this cream rose, for example. So I think that would actually be really nice. Would be a very easy option. I would be done in no time, but I really, really enjoy the feel of this fabric on my current planner. So I thought I'm gonna put in the effort, learn from the mistakes here, and do a better job this time. Fingers crossed. So that means we need some fabric. So I chose this very pale pink one that I was gifted, I think 2 years ago, by my friend Petra. Petra, if you're watching, thank you again for all your lovely fabric. I just think this will go really nicely with this printable, so that's what I'm going to try. So first we need to adhere this to our book cover. So I've already cut this to fit around my book. So I have, what do I have? On the top and the bottom I have about 1 inch around, and on the right and left it might be a little bit too big actually. I could cut it down, maybe I'll just tear it down a little more because there's quite a lot overhang here. So why don't I do that now? And these strips are always handy to have anyway for tag toppers or a lot of other things. So the first thing I learned, I have really had a tough time cutting in here where the spine is, because that part I'm going to tuck in. So that's something that's important if you want to do this method, is to make sure that you have a little gap here in between the binding of the book and your book spine, because we're going to be tucking that inside there. So I didn't cut this last time. I glued on the fabric first and then tried to cut here, which was extremely difficult. So, wow, I cut this very short now. Oh no, why did I do that? This is very tight fit now. So we're not going to be making the same mistakes. We're going to make different mistakes, which is a lot more fun. Okay, so I'm going to try to center this here, and then I'm going to mark where the spine is. And then I'm going to cut along those lines. And I also know that this is going to be too much fabric, so I'm going to cut like a little wedge out here so that it's easier to stuff the end in. I'm actually also going to shorten it a bit, which will make it easier to stuff it in afterwards. So this is what my one end looks like, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. One note, if you're going to be painting your cover, that's of course a great option as well, with acrylic paints maybe. If you have kind of like a glossy surface, like this one is a little bit glossy, I would definitely sand it down first and prime it with some gesso, some white gesso, or maybe some white paint before you paint whatever color you want on it. That's just a suggestion. I'm going to be using some textile glue. This is a very cheap one from Action. You could use 3-in-1 glue, you could use tacky glue. I think pretty much any glue would work, but I have this textile glue and that has worked really well in the past. So I'm going to start by putting this glue onto my spine. That's where I'm going to start gluing from the middle. Then I'm going to take my brush and even this out. I don't want any lumps under my fabric. And I have this brush specifically for glue. Maybe not, it's not necessary, but I like to do that. So now I'm going to try to place it right in the center. I can check if that will work. Yep, that should be fine. So then I'll turn it around and make sure it's adhered well. And then I'll just glue both sides. So I'll start with one side, put plenty of glue, also in the crease here. Smooth that out again. It's actually very quick to cover a book with fabric like this. And it's super easy. So the last time was actually the first time I did it. Yeah, I made some mistakes, but hopefully I won't make them again. But it worked out anyway. Even with the mistakes, it was no problem. Okay, and then we just add the fabric on top. I'll use my bone folder to go in the crease here. You can also use a ruler. If you don't have a bone folder, that is not a problem. Make sure it's burnished well. I'm really sad that I got this. Okay, anyway, let's move on. So we'll do the same thing, obviously, for the other side. So same thing, we make sure it's nice and smooth. We burnish it here where the crease is. And now we do the insides. So very easy, same thing. We just put glue on the, oh, wait. I totally forgot, I need to cut the corners. So I want to leave some space this time. That's another mistake I made. I didn't leave enough space here on the corner. So this time I want to leave more so that I can fold it in better, because I'm not planning on using book corners. On the other one I wasn't worried because I was going to use I used book corners. Here you see, so that covered any problems that I would have had with the fabric, but this time I'm not doing that. So I want to leave more so I can tuck them in well, which is of course hard now because I didn't leave enough fabric. Okay, I'm gonna start with the easier side where I have a little more fabric. Now we just pull the fabric over, and I'm going to do the two sides first. Actually, they're not the two sides, they're the top and the bottom. I'm doing these first in the hope that my edge is going to be neater that way. And then I'm going to fold this over so that these two corners are tucked in. So that should give us some nice and neat corners. I might have to add some more glue on that. And I will be covering this anyway. Just want to make sure this is tucked in. Yeah, I'm gonna need some more glue. Just here where the edges are. By just folding it over, I tucked it in, so now we have a corner that is kind of neat and will not fray. So this one here is a bit short, so I'm going to be adding some more glue to this to make sure that I can really fold it over nicely. So please learn from my mistakes. Don't cut your fabric too close. Okay, with enough glue, this one works as well. So I will do the same thing for the other side. It's going to be even trickier with this here. Actually, here I see that it's not cut enough, so I'll just fix that a little bit. I'm certainly not looking for perfection here, but I do want it to look neat. Sort of, anyway. So again, I'm doing the top and bottom first. Now I will do my best to make this work. Maybe I'll add more glue right from the start. Yep, that actually works. I'll add some more glue here. So the edges, so the corners are actually still neat, even though the fabric was so short. I'm not worried about this extra glue because we are going to be covering that. So now what I want to do is I want to tuck these in. I don't think it's necessary to actually glue them in. I didn't do it with the other book either, and it was totally fine. So I'm just pulling these cover pieces back so that forms a very wide opening here. And then I'm just going to take a pokey tool. You can use an awl or a knitting needle or something like that, and we just stuff that in here. Actually, we could put some glue on the inside. Why not? Just to make sure. So that's the bottom, and it looks quite neat. I still have some sticking out, but I don't mind that actually. You could of course be more precise if you wanted to, but I'm totally happy with this now. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. So this is the bottom. Looks neat. And what I want to do on the top, like I did on the other one, I want to add a cute little headband. Actually here I did it on both sides. You can hardly see this one peeking out in here. So maybe I'll let it peek out a little more on this one. And in order to decide on the color I want to use, I'm going to take this image again to see how that would look. And I have found this one, which I think is really nice with the color of the rose. So I'm going to take a bit of this one. If you don't have any lace ribbon, you can also just use a piece of fabric and then fold it over and then glue it on top if you want something like a little extra accent peeking out. I think that looks really sweet. So I'm just going to cut it the width of the spine. Add some glue to the bottom half of it, and then again I'm going to pull my covers back so that I have this nice hollow part, and I'm going to stick that in with the help of my poke tool. Now you can decide, of course, how much you want it sticking out, just like that. And I don't think I'll do it for the bottom because it's going to stand on the bottom. I don't really see the point of having one here. I'm not going to see it really anyway. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So now we have the fabric cover. Of course, we could just leave it as it is. I think it's really cute just like that. So you can transform any book no matter how ugly the cover is. Let's do the end papers next to get that out of the way. So I want to cover this up, and as I mentioned, I wanted to use this image here from one of the two plain background pages, and I'm gonna use it on the front and the back. I want them to be the same, and I think these go really well with the cover. But as you can see here, it's not tall enough to cover all of this, and I don't really like this brown color here. And by the way, I also printed this on 160 GSM paper just because, again, it's going over fabric. Otherwise, I would have just used copy paper. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint a strip here and a strip here in a similar pink, if I can find acrylic paint to do that with. So I have some cheap acrylic paints here. Hopefully, oh, actually this one looks perfect. Maybe I just need this one. I would be happy if I don't have to mix my own. Oh, this is perfect. Wow. This is one from the States. This might be from Joann's. It's Anita's all-purpose acrylic paint. Had it for 3 years now. This is, oh wow. I am thrilled. I did not expect that. So I'll just add some baking paper so I don't mess with the pages underneath. Okay, and then I will just start painting the edges. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect. And actually I'll paint the edge here just in case. Okay, so I'll let this dry and do the same thing with the back side. And because I have paint left over, I'm just going to, so I added some of it already to my baking sheet, and I'm gonna add some other, or some darker pink on it as well. This will give us some beautiful collage fodder as well. We won't waste anything. So on top of this, then I can add stamping, stenciling, or whatever. I can use my die cuts on it, whatever I want. So both sides are dry now. And so now I'm going to take my end paper. The height is good as it is, and I am going to leave a border on both sides. So actually I'm glad I painted this part as well. So I'm just gonna mark where I'm going to cut it, which is here. I'll do that with both of these. So next I'm just going to use my fabric glue to just glue this whole piece down. Try to even that so that it's centered. And then I want to make sure I have the crease here in the middle. So I'm going to take my bone folder, or you can take a ruler again. Just make sure this is creased here where it needs to be so that it can fold nicely. And then the rest we just burnish. Then I'll turn it around. You can see here where I went over the fabric with the paint. You can see it here, so maybe be careful when you're painting this side not to go over this side. But it doesn't really matter. It does not bother me. It is a junk journal and I still think it's pretty. Love that. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the back side. Okay, so that's the back side. I cut this piece a little bit wider because I had so little fabric here that it had to come further out to the edge, but that's totally fine. It still looks good. Now I do still have the brown here, but I think what I'm just gonna do is glue these two pages together so then I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I'll do that both on the front and the back. For that, I'm going to use my 3-in-1 glue. You could also use a glue stick. I'm not sure I would use tacky glue because I think that will warp your page. This 3-in-1 glue does not. The fabric glue wouldn't either, but since I'm gluing paper, I'm not sure that would make sense. I will spread it a little bit. I don't want lumps in the page. Yeah, that is perfect. Now we're rid of that horrible brown, and I'll do the same thing on this one. Okay, now we can start with the fun part. Let's decorate the front cover. So I have this, so I just need to measure where to cut it. I want even borders all around, so the top and bottom dictates how wide this is going to be, and I will leave the same border here from the spine. So I will cut it here. And I don't think I'm going to ink up the edges. I don't want to do that. I'll just cover it. I will just glue it with my fabric glue since I will be adhering it onto the fabric. I just love the softness of this cover now. It is so feminine and cute. I love it. So we do the same thing for the back side. Actually, I will just take the same measurement as from the front. So I'll cut it again right here so it's the same size. So there's our back side. I love it. And now for the spine. Of course, you could leave the spine as it is. It would be cute as well. So for the spine, I'm going to use this one. I think this one fits best with my book. So I will just cut that out. These would make really good belly bands. I need to try that. For these little corners, rather than cutting them out with my scissors, I'm just going to take my very simple hole punch and do that. Maybe I'll cut the edge, that one tiny corner off, but that is a lot easier if you do it right than using your scissors. So again, I'm adhering that on the fabric with my textile glue. So there's the spine. So we have the front, the spine, and the back. Love it, but we are not done. So next I want to add one of the labels. I want to use one of the pre-printed ones, not the empty ones. So these I don't need. I just cut out some of the ones that are in this color range. I didn't need the green ones because there's more the green color range and more the like neutral and pink color range. So there's this one. I think it's a bit big. I like this one because it's kind of a delicate handwriting, and I think this kind of fits with the fairy theme very well, so that's definitely a good one. This one might be a bit bold. This would work as well, but I think I really prefer the delicate writing of this one. And I want to put something underneath, so I already chose some fabrics that might go with this color scheme to just add an accent underneath this. So let's try some of these out. This here would be the closest to the rose, but I'm not sure I'm loving it together with this here. So I would just cut around it like this, but it is really cute how it matches. So I would consider this one. This one, I mean, it has the perfect colors. It has this cream white and it has this darkest part of the rose here. Yeah, but I don't like the checkers for such a small piece. Then we have this one. That would be cute as well, I think. Yeah, that would be really cute. Really nice contrast on this one. And this one, I'll fold it to give us a better idea. Would also be super cute. Also goes well with the darkest color of the rose here. So I would say either this one or this one. This has too much white. Like, it's very loud because it seems so dominant because of the white. It's such a big contrast. I think I prefer the subtle white on this one. Yep, I will go with that one. I will take my pinking shears and cut out a rectangle. Don't need too much showing, just a little accent. So crooked. Yeah, I like it. Now I'm also wondering if I should add some lace, because we have this cute lace here. I'm wondering if I should put some lace here or maybe some on the bottom here. I don't know yet. In any case, I can already glue these parts down. Oh, that went right through the fabric. Be careful if you do that. Don't mess up your print. There. And here on the spine, of course, you can then write from to. Like for me, this would be September to probably November. September or December if I'm lucky. 2021. So let's try adding a narrow strip of of lace. Maybe on this side. Let's see how that would look. It's cute. Actually, I like it. I thought it might be too much, but I like it. And I want it the whole length, I think, not just where the printable is. Yes, I'm gonna do that. Makes it a little more feminine even. And this one has a adhesive on it already, which I think, yeah, this sticks really well. So I don't even have to add some glue. I'm gonna call this one done. I don't think I need to add anything else. I love it the way it is. It's beautiful on the inside. So in the next episode, we're going to put in our planner pages for September, which is going to be in the same theme here. So I hope to see you back then. You can obviously do this for a junk journal as well. You don't add the planner here, but this would be a gorgeous altered book junk journal as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you give this a try. Let me know if you do. Let me know how it goes. Thank you for hanging out with me. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!